The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off.
Feelings don't matter, so brace yourself tight. He'll lay it down heavy, he'll light up the night. No sugar-coated tales, just cold hard facts. In the realm of opinions, there's no turning back. Listen closer, just walk away. But Aaron had to say it, come what may. Here comes Aaron with the truth untold. No holding back, watch the truth unfold. On the podcast, airways feel the righteous sting. You either take it in or let the silence ring.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. We're going to start out by saying to Iceman, Jason, Mike, Tabby, Javier, Fitz, McShane, El Jefe, El Devlin, El Morte, the guys at the Weather Report, to Billy G, and to Walt from the B-Raw podcast. Thank you guys for the continued support. It means a lot to me that you guys hang around and put up with me and support the show the way you do. Well, anyway, so we're into the second week of the year so far, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm frankly ready for the year to be over. I'm already ready to put a pin in 2025. It has been just kicking the nuts after kicking the nuts, and if you've been living under a rock or you haven't been paying attention to what's going on here in the lovely United States, because I'm sure other countries have plenty of their own problems to deal with, and, you know, although most of my listeners here are in the States, I do have a few wonderful people up in Canada, and what can I say? God bless you, snow Mexicans. I love you. But anyway, point being, it's been a really, I mean, like I said, this will be coming out on the 14th, literally 2 weeks into the 2025. And so we did kind of walk into this year, and it, you know, kind of went as predicted with the election being over, and Trump standing now 6 days from the day this drops will be inaugurated as the 47th president of the United States of America. And we're going to get to what I think about that shortly here. As everybody knows, this is the first time in a very long time where it's not that I don't have anything to say about the matter. It's more like everything that needs to be said has already been said, probably more eloquently by other people, but I do have some thoughts on the matter. One of the big things that actually kind of ties into that is, so we're still, you know, almost a week out from Donald Trump being sworn in as the president. And the massive shit show that's been going on for the last several weeks in this country, the left is doing everything they can to try and somehow make it his fault. And to wit, we are going to address the first major thing that's happened in this past week, and that is California is on fucking fire. LA is fucking, you know, it looks like a dystopian hellscape. Wildfire spreading all around and blah, blah, blah. And the entire situation has illustrated multiple things that, again, people are already trying to blame Elon and Trump and they're not doing enough and blah, 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 blah. Like social media posts from just these unhinged leftist nutballs. Well, what are you doing, Trump? What the fuck? And I mean, like, I've seen posts in the past weeks since the election, basically, complaining that Donald Trump's not doing enough, and he's not doing this, and he's not doing that, and what do you think about this? And what I even saw something blaming him because the gas prices started going back up. The motherfucker's not in office yet. Now, I've never been a fan of that Cheeto-dusted bastard, and pretty much anybody that's listened to the show for more than a week or two knows that. But out of the options that are available, I do think he's presenting the most solid pick. Plus, he's going in there with the attitude of somebody who has an axe to fucking grind because of the horse shit the establishment tried to do to him over the last year and a half or so. And I'm, cautiously optimistic. I really like the team he's put together in a lot of ways. A lot of his nominees I'm really appreciative of. So I really hope they all get confirmed. He gets in there and just starts actually, I pray to God he keeps his fucking campaign promises. The American people seem to be holding a lot more of the congressional offices to account at this point and saying, like, look, you will get in fucking line or you will be primaried to the Republicans. And I, particularly with the absolute shit show the last, 6 weeks have been, I don't understand how more places, I'm thinking the next election, a lot more seats are going to flip red because the Dems are just out here doing that same old song and dance, same playbook that lost them the last election and massively lost them the last election. Improprieties aside, too big to cheat was a real fucking thing at this point. And there were still improprieties and things that don't make any sense, like somehow Arizona, voted overwhelmingly for Trump, but every single local election went blue. That doesn't make any fucking sense. And it took them, a week and a half to count the fucking ballots. And California took forever to count their ballots. And the more ballots they counted, the bluer it got. Oh my God, what a coincidence. California went to Kamala, even though it took them fucking 3 weeks to find the ballots to actually certify. I mean, it's all kinds of horseshit and people. Now, one of the things I hope Trump actually does do is he's talking about, putting laws into place to make it single day voting, physical ballots. You have to be there. You have to, make the elections actually secure so they can be considered valid. Because now, the leftists who have been spending the last 4 years calling everybody that said Trump was robbed in 2020 an asshole are all now out there saying it's an invalid election. They shouldn't certify it. And Kamala did have to certify the election results. And it did warm my heart a little bit to see that slurring, alcoholic, worthless sack of tits up there having to read off that she was just thoroughly handed her own ass in the election. And that's fantastic. That did me good. I was actually surprised at how sober she seemed during that reading, because and everything up to the certification, every public appearance she made in the intervening time, she just appeared drunk as fuck. And and we've got Sleepy Joe, who is still the fucking sitting president as of the time of this recording. That motherfucker is still the one in the White House, even though we all know he hasn't been the one making the decisions. He hasn't been the one pulling the strings. His handlers have been doing it probably for the entirety of his presidency, but for sure for the last couple of years when, he became very obviously infirm, and when they decided to pull him from the race and run camel toe instead, they basically acknowledged that we don't have a sitting president, but still handing out pardons, pardoned his kid, pardoned Liz, handed out medals of honor to people that are congressional, not medals of honor, that's for actual war heroes. The Presidential Medal of Freedom, the second highest honor a civilian can be awarded by the president. And he gave it to, so many people, as we discussed, Soros and fucking Hillary Clinton and fucking Liz Cheney and all these, just completely removed any significance from it. I mean, giving a Medal of Freedom to the most non-freedom loving motherfuckers on the planet is really just saying how pointless and worthless it is. But that's what the deep state decided to do to honor its best soldiers, I guess. And they've got, Sleepy coming out and making public statements, just still trying to gaslight the country, talking about how, illegal border crossings went down the day he took office and this happened and that happened. It's like, yeah, of course they went down, Joe, because you weren't catching anybody. You can't report crossings if you're just letting everybody the fuck in, can you? And, honestly, part of me believes that dementia-ridden old fuck believes the shit that comes out of his mouth, because that's what his handlers are telling him. No, Joe, you did great. You were wonderful. You go out there and you get belligerent with that fucking press corps when they don't believe the shit that comes out of your mouth, because that's what really happened, and they're all just trying to fucking not give you your credit. So it's entirely possible this senile old bastard thinks he's done an amazing job as president and he would have been an amazing candidate. And I'm sure in some ways he probably blames Camel Toe that she managed to host a nonviolent coup against him with the help of the deep state and the DNC. And boy, did they back a fucking loser on that one. But again, I don't really want to rehash old news. I want to talk about the new dumb shit that the leftist assholes are doing. Which brings me to my favorite potential frontrunner for 2028 on the leftist side, Gavin Hairpile fucking Newsom, the utterly corrupt and incompetent sack of shit that runs the shithole that is California. The DEI embracing, open borders loving, fucking socialist, communist, let's get rid of the shit in San Francisco to welcome the dictator from China, motherfucking piece of shit that he is. And his utter incompetence, and this is actually going to come up even more as we talk about this, but as the wildfires were raging in LA, and basically all of his leftist supporters and donors that lived in that fucking hell on earth, which, I hate to sound jaded and skeptical, because I'll be honest with you, I've never been to fucking LA. I've never seen a single thing that would make me want to go there over the course of my life. California is one of the, I've seen the vast majority of the continental United States, with the exception of the West Coast. I have in my younger days when I had a bit of a case of itchy foot, and I would get out and just go wander off for a couple of days here and there when I had the time. And I've seen a lot of this country, and I saw a lot of it from the driver's seat of whatever car I happened to be in at the time. And I never had any desire to go to California. I wanted to go to Northern California for a while. I never made it to Seattle or Oregon or anywhere along the West Coast that I wanted to go check out when I was younger, just because I got married, settled down, that stopped being a priority. But I never had a fucking desire to go to like SoCal, or I heard San Diego's beautiful. I haven't had a chance to go, but LA, San Francisco, from like early 2000s, I was just like, nope, these places are shitholes and they're just going to get worse. And even though I was just a jaded, cynical youth at that point, I was right. And so now LA burns to the ground. All the Hollywood elites are fucked. The pictures you see online and the footage of it. And of course, as soon as all this shit starts going on, the right starts calling out Newsom and his utter failure of policy, and the fact that he defunded firefighting. And several years ago, the citizens of California voted to restructure and redam and build all these water conduits and ways to have water reserves, because this shit happens every fucking year. It's not like fire season is a new fucking thing in California. It happens all the time. But old gruesome Newsom didn't fucking fulfill any of his promises that were voted on by the citizens, that they agreed to fund this water project, and he didn't fucking bother. Plus, he stopped forestry services, stopped doing things like controlled burns and fire breaks that would have not necessarily prevented, but definitely mitigated the utter hellstorm that took over LA and burned massive swaths of it to the fucking ground. And meanwhile, as soon as all this stuff starts to happen, because unfortunately, due to human nature, nobody can, even in times of tragedy, people want to point the finger and blame each other. And believe me, there's plenty of fucking blame to go around here. I'm not saying there's anybody that's blameless. As a matter of fact, one of Newsom's biggest problems in his approach to handling things is he's come out in public and said, oh, well, we don't want to talk about blame. It's time to talk about fixing the problem. And done literally everything he could to avoid accountability for the massive, like, perfect hurricane of shitstorm decisions that this dumb fuck made that led to these results that burned, one of the biggest cities in the country to the fucking ground. And there were a lot of things that could have been avoided about it. And then the literal communist mayor of fucking LA wasn't even in town when it happened. She knew it was burn season, knew these things were going to happen, was in fucking Africa on a personal trip that was actually footed for by the taxpayers. So, must be nice to be able to just do whatever you want and make other people pay for it because you think you're somehow better than them, even though you're a professed communist piece of shit. So, everybody's supposed to be equal, but there's always a case of some people are more equal than others. That's why communism doesn't fucking work. But with California being the, epicenter stronghold of communism in the United States, not that, the shithole I live in is all that far behind. I believe we're number 3 in terms of shitty states in the country. Good old Illinois and our jelly-filled fuck muppet of a governor just running this place into the fucking ground as fast as he can. Talking about, we're going to raise minimum wage and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Doesn't talk about the increased tax burden or the increased utility burdens on all the people who actually pay their fucking bills. They're talking about, we're going to discharge all this medical debt for all these people. No, and he keeps referring to fucking Illinoisans that are benefiting. The vast majority of everything that jelly-filled fuck is doing is to benefit illegals and people who have no fucking business being here because they're not contributing in. They're just taking out. But that's a whole nother separate rant. Back to the California wildfires. That's what I'm trying to focus on right now. And the utterly shitty behavior of humans. And again, the left is literally unhinged leftist motherfuckers blaming Trump. He's not in office yet, you smooth-brained fucks. Your guy still is, and nothing's getting done. But then here comes Sleepy Joe and comes out and says, we're going to guarantee that the federal government is going to pay for the cost of rebuilding California and covering the damage for 18 months and blah, 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 and all this effort. Meanwhile, the citizens of Western North Carolina and all the people in Appalachia who have had everything they've owned, their lives, their family, their histories, wiped out by hurricanes coming through and destroying them out in like Asheville. are being threatened to be evicted from the hotels they've been put in for temporary shelter by FEMA because they said there's no more money to pay these hotels. But the people are like not able to get their FEMA disaster relief or get their homes even assessed because FEMA is an utterly worthless government bureaucracy. So it's Sleepy's treatment of the California wildfires shows that it is a completely partisan horseshit thing because that's where something like 60 or 70% of the Democratic funding comes out of California, and particularly these stronghold counties that are currently in fucking flames. And it's hard for me to say I'm surprised. I mean, my lack of faith in the system and my utter disdain for bureaucrats and parasitic entities that live off the sweat, blood, and tears of actual hardworking American citizens who basically just want to live their lives, do the best they can, keep the fruits of their labor, and not have to support a bunch of motherfuckers who didn't go out there and earn it. Yeah, it's hard. The disdain I feel for these motherfuckers, and the proof that since Sleepy can go out there and whip out his pen and say, "Here we go, we're just going to fund California's repair," but meanwhile, again, North Carolina fucked. People in the Appalachians fucked. Fuck them. It doesn't matter. Oh, those aren't his people. He doesn't fucking care, and he's shown it, and he doesn't give a shit. He knows he's fucking done. And his handlers don't give a shit. They're definitely in the looting the treasury phase of a collapse of an empire. And, they've sent more billions of dollars of aid and funding over to Ukraine. And, hey, guess where a bunch of the fucking fire equipment that was supposed to be in California was? It was shipped out to Ukraine to help support things there. They have brand new trucks, brand new equipment, money to pay their fucking firefighters. Oh, and speaking of the firefighters, let's go back to California. You want to know one of the biggest things about California's boast on their fire department is they have their top 3 fire officials, their chiefs, the chief, and they have a DEI coordinator, and it's like 3 fat lesbians. And I've got nothing against if you are a lesbian in general or, gay, straight, lesbian. I don't fucking care, whatever. None of that matters to me. It's irrelevant to your capability to do the job. But one of the biggest argument points that has come up here where I've really gotten sick of people saying everything they don't agree with is DEI related. Unfortunately, in this case, it really seems to actually have legs to stand on. Now, somebody like me is going to call out the simple incompetence and inappropriateness of these candidates. And yes, they were hired as DEI representative candidates. So unfortunately, it does fit in this circumstance because you have 3 women who are incapable of doing the actual physical portion of the job of being firefighters. And literally one of the most telling things is their DEI officer or whatever the fuck she is. Oh, and by the way, all of these people make 6 figures. The chief is making like $475,000 a year. The DEI officer makes $300,000 a year. And the assistant chiefs makes, I want to say $275,000 a year. They're all fucking worthless. They're all more focused on, we want to make sure there's representation. And last year, they literally put out an article that said they had too many white men as firefighters. And that was a problem. And then you also take into account the city of L.A. had to fired like something 160 firemen because they refused to get the vax. So you definitely don't have the best of the best in the positions that need to be leading the thing. They're not focused on fire prevention and health and safety. They're focused on equity and representation and in getting more like morbidly obese motherfuckers who couldn't pass the physical aspect of the job in, getting women of color in, because if you're getting rescued from a burning building, obviously the first thing you're going to be concerned about is representation. If you're, a non-gendered Asian descent, they, them, z's, or furry, you got to make sure that there's another Asian coming to pull you out of that fucking building, because if you don't want to be rescued by a big hairy white dude, that would be, wrong and damaging, and that would be, it would be just wrong to know you owed your life to some big oppressive motherfucker who actually was an alpha male capable of doing a job that normal people don't fucking want. And as I was saying, so this fucking bush hog DEI representative equity officer or whatever the fuck she is, she literally has a commercial they did, and somebody asked her, well, what if my husband was burning in a building? How can you do the job of rescuing him? And he says, well, if I'm there and your husband's burning in a building, he got himself in the wrong place. Bitch, that's your fucking, literally the entire fucking job. It's not, oh, well, he shouldn't be there. No, you dumb cunt. Your job is to save lives and pull people out of a fucking fire. And if you're physically incapable of doing it, you shouldn't have the fucking job. I don't care how much fucking rug you munch. I don't care what fucking shade your ancestors were. If you can't do the job, you don't fucking deserve to have, and you damn sure don't deserve to be making damn near $500,000 fucking doing it. Selfish, arrogant fucking cunts. I swear to God, I hate this entire country in terms of those people. And by those people, I mean you arrogant, self-absorbed, self-important, leftist sacks of shit that don't actually contribute anything but want to be treated like you're somehow fucking special because you think you should. Because, oh, well, I'm underrepresented. You're underrepresented because you're fucking capable. It's that fucking simple. You don't deserve representation. Meritocracy is the only thing that's going to save this fucking country. Not, sparing your feels and making you feel better because you seem to think there's not enough people like me in this position. There's not enough people like you in that position because people like you don't belong in that fucking position in the first place. The ones who actually are capable of doing it are the outlier, not the fucking norm. And your representation should be proportionate to your capability to do the fucking job, not the fact that you exist. And speaking of people who are inappropriately in a position and really are incapable of doing anything, one little bright ray of sunshine out of this hellscape going through LA. The chair, the boss lady of BLM, the one that bought 3 fucking mansions, yeah, 2 of them burned up in the fire, and I'm pretty sure they're uninsured because that's another thing. And again, the left is, oh my God, evil corporations bad, Durka, 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 support my way of life. Tell me I'm special. Tell me I'm pretty. So a bunch of the insurance companies have been canceling the renewals and canceling policies and refusing to renew policies for people in these zones in California. And a lot of people are like, well, how can they do that? And da-da-da-da-da. And it's actually really simple. Again, this falls directly at the feet of that smoldering pile of hair gel that is fucking Gavin Newsom, because he passed legislation to say the insurance companies could not adjust their rates to offset the cost of all these fires that were going on. And the insurance companies did a cost analysis of the risk versus the probability. These companies, they exist to make money. They're businesses. That's the first thing people have to remember. Insurance companies are not there to be your buddy. They're not there to make sure everything's okay for you. I mean, yes, that's what you pay for. But the way these companies do business is on the formulation that statistically, they're not going to have to pay out as much as they take in. That's how business works. They're not charities. They're businesses. So the fact that Newsom said, no, you can't raise your rates to reflect the higher increased likelihood of horrible, destructive fires happening due to my piss-poor mismanagement of the state. So the insurance company said, well, then we're just going to pull the policies. We're not going to offer insurance to these people, because the average cost, and there's other factors in there to it. It's not just that Newsom wouldn't let them increase the rates, but it's why they have to increase the rates exponentially, because these fires keep fucking happening, and the statistical likelihood of these kinds of fires happening went through the fucking roof because of, again, Newsom's mismanagement of the fucking national forests and other things like that. And the fact that, the reservoirs were empty, the water czar. And yes, California has a fucking water czar. And again, her focus is not, making sure there's water available to put the fires out. Her focus was inclusivity, reflection, representation. And oddly enough, the 173 million gallon reservoir there was fucking empty, and it's been empty for years because they were working on repairing some minor problems, during peak fire season, because that makes perfect fucking sense. But again, so yes, back to the point. Newsom says you can't increase your insurance rates. The insurance companies say, well, the average payout on rebuilding these homes if they are destroyed in a fire is 200% of what they're, bringing in. So it is going to be a massive loss for us if we have to pay all these policies. Your laws, regulations, and policies in the state have made it extremely likely that there's going to be catastrophic fires. We're pulling the policies. So a lot of these people that have lost everything they have also are completely uninsured. And the left, again, is trying to paint it as purely a greedy corporate capitalist mindset that is fucking these people over. Whereas if it wasn't for the state's overreach and interference in the way business was handled, most of these people would probably still have policies today. Yes, they would have been paying more for them, but that's because rebuilding their homes would have cost significantly more than it cost when they originally took out the policy. That's how these things work. When you drive up and artificially inflate property values and artificially inflate the cost of doing business through, ridiculous taxation and overregulation, things get more expensive. When things get more expensive, it costs more to insure those things because it's going to cost more to replace those things. It's really not a complicated concept. It's basic fucking math. The problem is we're dealing with basic fucking bitches who don't understand basic fucking principles because they weren't educated, they were indoctrinated. And they all think they're smarter than you, and they think they're better than you, and they think that the fact that we think they're fucking idiots just is indicative of how failing we are because we don't obviously grasp their superiority. And the arrogance and the obnoxiousness is just being amplified every day. I'm really thinking I need to take a break from social media for a few days just to decompress and just let shit go and I already took a little break a few weeks back. You guys, I took a week off from the podcast to just try and decompress, and during that week off, I tried to stay the fuck away from social media other than a couple group chats I'm in and sending stupid reels to my friends because that's what I do when you're my friend. I send you shit that's going to fuck your algorithm up, and next thing you know, you're getting a bunch of dancing Oompa Loompas on your fucking timeline. But I digress. The point is that the just constant ridiculousness, and maybe I'll take a little social media hiatus after the fucking inauguration is on the books because I really want to see what's leading up to that. I think, the FBI released a statement saying they don't have anything on their radar for the case, which just makes me think it's going to be that much worse. And also kind of brings me into the next thing I want to talk about. The director of the FBI, Charles Wray, the guy is an absolute just shitbird of a human being. Basically, as he's stepping down and getting ready to leave, he comes out and says, "Oh yeah, by the way, China has infiltrated all of our infrastructure. They have sleeper cells in place all throughout the country. They can take out our water and power whenever they decide to activate those cells." And basically acknowledge that he's aware of the existence of all this and has done fuck all to do anything about it. And the FBI has made statements that, like, when they were going after Trump, they were acting completely independent of any instruction from the White House, basically exonerating the current exiting administration, saying, "Oh no, we were going after Trump hard like that on our own dime," which, if it's true, that means it's a rogue agency and needs to be dismantled. If it's not true, that means they're lying to the American people and they need to be fucking dismantled. And then to come out on your last days in office and say, "Oh yeah, by the way, China completely infiltrated the country, but while we were busy hunting down grandmas in red hats that happened to go into the Capitol on January 6th and, breaking up PTA meetings because parents wanted to say their kids couldn't be told it's okay not to tell your parents if you decide to be a different gender," and all the other ridiculous horse shit that has just shown how it's either negligence or incompetence or both, or just being flat out stupid and fucking evil. It's a dangerous combination. And I don't really like to throw around the concept of evil per se. I feel like A, that gets people too emotionally invested, and B, it kind of, to my way of thinking, means you're trying to attach moralistic ties to things that you're trying to look at logically. But the other part of me is, do I believe in good and evil? Yes, I do. I believe certain things are fundamentally evil. Certain things are fundamentally horrible. And anyone who is not of either an evil bent themselves and the thing is, evildoers the most dangerous ones don't think they're doing evil, which is a huge problem in and of itself. But you get these motherfuckers who legitimately believe that either the ends justify the means or whatever it is, but they're not above manipulating the stupid motherfuckers, because I feel like there's a lot of stupid motherfuckers in this country that are being manipulated by a lot of evil motherfuckers in this country, because particularly the higher up you go into like the deep state, the uniparty, whatever you want to call it, the fucking elitist cabal that actually runs this country and manipulates dumb college-age motherfuckers, stupid inbred, like ultra right-wing motherfuckers, stupid ultra left-wing motherfuckers, anybody who lacks the cognitive ability or critical thinking to be able to question what's put in front of them, anybody who blindly accepts something based on who it came from without applying their own thoughts, values, or processes to it. I mean, it's modern day religious zealots on both sides, and they're easily manipulated because they lack critical thinking. They lack rational thought. They lack the ability to process on a higher tier because it's been deliberately beaten out of them. They weren't taught that. Our society has shifted, and the shift was guided. This was not some random natural occurrence. This is not a natural order for things. The natural order of things is how we got to where we were when this country was founded. And then some bunch of elitist motherfuckers decided they wanted to tear it all down because, and again, you pick your poison, take your reason. Are they child sacrificing Moloch worshippers? Maybe some of them are. Are they fucking, I mean, the left is a death cult. I don't know how many times I've fucking said it, but they are. That's why they're all, pro-abortion, go out there, fuck without responsibility, don't have kids because the world sucks, you're poor, you can't afford to have a happy life, and that's everyone else's fault except yours. So you shouldn't have a family because you can't afford to have a family because then you would have to stop doing for yourself and start doing for someone else, and that's selfish to make you try and have to be a responsible human fucking being. So you have that mentality that is literally a death cult. It's killing birth rates all around the fucking globe. And then, actively importing people that don't share those same values and because, they're the shit on third world motherfuckers who, are more than happy to breed you against your fucking will. See how many abortions you get when fucking Muhammad decides he's tired of goats and decides he wants a little piece of white ass somewhere. You college-educated, smooth-brained fuck. But again, I digress. That's the point, and it's just as bad with the ultra fucking conservative, the Jesus thumpers and the fucking actual racists. I mean, for as much as the left wants to scream racism, I'm not naive enough to say racism doesn't still exist. It's always existed. It's always going to exist. We're never going to live in a perfect utopia. There's always going to be some shitheads out there who can't get past the basic shit. Now, racism was on life support for a very long time, and it definitely got brought back to the forefront. It's healthier than it's been in a long time, and that's deliberate because racism causes division, and division keeps us from looking up from each other to notice what these motherfuckers are doing. And they're doing it, and they're good at it, and it's evil and manipulative, and it's not. Like I said, for all the shit I talk about how I think there are stupid, and like I said, I believe there are stupid motherfuckers on both sides of the political spectrum, because if you go far enough the one direction, you overlap with the other direction. That's just the way it is. When you're an ultra-extremist, whether you're an ultra-extreme right or an ultra-extreme left, you're still an extremist. You're still probably a smooth-brained fuck that's being manipulated by someone who sees themselves as being an elite and above all of it, and you are useful fucking tools. And those of us in the middle that are more critical thinkers, that have a more balanced view of the world, we're the ones that they're aiming you dumb fucks at. So I really don't appreciate you being stupid and making our lives more difficult, but hey, it is what it is until you morons can pull your heads out of your asses. And I'm saying that to both sides of the spectrum. If you're like an ultra-religious, ultra-right conservative and you think, whatever it is you think that makes you somehow more morally or ethically or whatever better than the rest of the fucking world and everyone else should live according to your values, you're no better than the fucking, godless heathens on the left that you're so fucking afraid of that you can't stand the thought of their world existing, just like they can't stand the thought of your world existing. You two are, opposite sides of the same fucking coin, and those of us who are walking around on the edge of the coin are sick of both of you. And one little last thing I want to talk about, speaking of evil, manipulative pieces of shit, one of the things that happened is Gavin Newsom put up a website very rapidly to fight disinformation about the wildfires in California. Now, the problem with that is the website he's using to fact check all his statements on social media is his own fucking website. That's right. His campaign website is not what he's referencing to talk about what's going on in California, and everything else, according to him, is misinformation. That's pretty fucking terrible. And he's got links on there to donate to, help the victims of the California fire. And another person out there on the left put forward, and that's my maybe fifth favorite fucking parasitic sack of shit to go after on a semi-regular basis, Liz Warren. Liz Warren Faux-Ahontas, F-A-U-X. I'm getting worked up where I can't even mispronounce my things right. Yes, the fake Indian cunt who used bullshit lies about her ancestry to edge out other people to get into college, and has been a career parasite, has a net worth of like $15 or $20 million on a senator's salary, owns multiple homes. Yes, this worthless cunt who has made a career out of race baiting, browbeating, and bemoaning the evils of the conservative right, set up a link and literally posted as click here to donate funds to the victims of the California wildfires. 100% of the donations go to the victims, which in and of itself was a bold-faced fucking lie, because instead of linking directly to the charities that money goes to the victims, it was a handler link through Act Blue, the Democratic fundraising program, which, yes, the funds will be transferred to the victims of these through these charities, minus a 3.95% handling fee. So no, 100% of your donation does not go to the victims of the wildfires. 96 point whatever percent of it, I already forgot what it was, goes to the victims, and that other 3% gets skimmed off the top for Act Blue to continue to funnel into Democratic war coffers. So these parasites are lying. They're getting called out in real time. They're getting basically called out for the bullshit they're doing. And still trying to talk about how conservatives are the bad guys for pointing out all their shit. Every single one of them is saying, oh, well, now's not the time to cast blame. Now's not the time to point the finger. Now's not the time to politicize these issues. No, actually, you dumb fucks. And I'm saying dumb fucks to the dumb motherfuckers that these evil motherfuckers are trying to manipulate with their actions. Because, frankly, it's done with intent. It's deliberate. It's willful. It is fucking horrific in my eyes, because it shows how much they think they are better than everyone else and how much they think they deserve to have their agenda pushed forward. Because, let's face it, they view you with contempt, because you are contempt-worthy if you buy into this horseshit. And if you are following, and now if you're listening to me, it obviously doesn't apply to you. It's more of a broad, I'm using the royal you when referring to the dumb motherfuckers out there. But the dumb motherfuckers who buy into this shit, they obviously see them as beneath them, because they're there as a means to an end. They're not actually, carrying any real worth. But they do this shit because they know they can get away with it, and it's repugnant. And I honestly don't understand how we as a society have allowed it to get this far. We as a country were founded on a principle of fuck you, no, and now it's more like regulate me harder, daddy. And I don't understand it. And I despair for these things, and other little dumb shit. Like I said, Democrats trying to fundraise for the victims, but skim that 4%. And let's not politicize the issue, but somehow it's still Trump's fault, and Elon's a bad guy, even though Elon sent Cybertrucks with Starlink things on them to drive around and make sure people have communication capabilities in California, in LA, for people who hate him and want to have been calling for him to be deported and all this other shit, because he had the audacity to say, you know what, I don't have the same values as you fucks anymore, because you've gone too far to the left and you're fucking insane. Because that's the thing, the vast majority of the Republican people that all these leftist assholes have problems with have been historically Democrats. That's even Trump was a Democrat up until he said the party just went too fucking far. And you know what? It's very telling, because the fact that these people can, without the slightest hint of irony or understanding the literal insanity of what they're saying, talk out of both sides of their mouth saying, oh, this is bad, you shouldn't be doing this right now, this is a tragedy, and then do the exact same thing. It's just, you can't even call it hypocrisy, because they're too fucking stupid to realize they're doing it. It's literally the educated idiots, the useful idiots, the fucking unwashed, uneducated masses. They're fucking indoctrinated. They're not educated, but they think they're smart. And you can never tell them differently, because they're smarter than you, because they went to college and they learned that communism good, capitalism bad. Buh. So anyway, I guess for now, that's what I had to say. Thanks for listening to another episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a rating. Go to ihadtosayitpodcast.com, sign up for the mailing list, interact with the show. Click the links, sign up for the Patreon, join the Discord, come and interact, be a part of the show, buy the merch, support your favorite creator, or support me. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Till next time.